sounds like. I do not sports.
You remember when you used to like whistle or hum random tunes, and I'd be like, "Why are you doing Christmas carols?" And you'd be like, "What?"
Oh, yeah.
Like I have no idea what noise I'm even making right now. Like, you're whistling Christmas carols.
It's involuntary.
It's horrible.
When the doctor hits your knee and it just like goes up, I don't even know what's happening.
It just happens. All right, I think we are live now. So hello everyone and welcome to Awesome Hardware. This is episode number 122. 122 times we've done this. That's crazy. It's a live show. We stream it to twitch.tv/awesomehardware. And we also stream it to each of our YouTube channels. This is the second half of episode 122. First half, episode 122A, was on Kyle's channel, Bitwit. It was crazy. Lots of crazy things happened. We had the devil's toe. I put lipstick on, gave Kyle a kiss on the cheek. It was very romantic. Anyway, check that out if you want. Link should be in the description. Other than that, we talk about technology, mostly computer stuff. We drink some beer. We have a good time. Occasionally we curse, so sorry about that if it happens. And yeah, thanks to all of you guys who are here. If you're watching live or if you're watching in the future, we really appreciate it. Hope you gain a slight bit of entertainment and perhaps even learn a thing or two about what's going on in the tech world. So to start the show, first off, if you want to help support us, feel free to do so by purchasing some stuff from our stores. My store is at paulshardware.net. And I have just added some hats to my store now, so you can get my ever-popular thumbscrew logo on a hat. Also got mugs, pint glasses. Mugs are on sale. We have an ongoing t-shirt design contest, so if you guys want to help design some stuff for us, send us your submissions. There's links to at the top of each of our stores about that. Kyle's store is bitwit.tech/store.
Woo! Yep.
He also has stuff.
Female shirts are now in.
Ladies' tees.
Beanies, hoodies. If it's cold wherever you live, it's not here because we're in California, but, keeps you warm and stuff. Hats, fidget spinners, other things.
It's all high quality.
It's all stuff. You should buy it all.
Get yourself some merch and help us out. And,
buy everything.
And it's good things. But if you don't want to do that, it's okay. If you want to do something a little bit more helpful and productive right now, we generally get a decent amount of donation comments on YouTube while we do the show. Today we're going to be taking all those donations and we're going to be sending that over to the victims of Hurricane Maria in Puerto Rico. Maria's a bitch. They're having a really tough time right now. They're completely no power on the entire island. We're going to be specifically donating to the United for Puerto Rico Fund, which is spearheaded by the First Lady of Puerto Rico. So more information on that on the PBS NewsHour link that's in this video's description. So again, your donations, we're going to donate, and then I'm going to match any donations from my half up to $500.
Me too.
Kyle already did that on his half, and I think we got pretty close to $500 for Kyle's half.
Seemed like we had a couple $100 donations.
Although I was telling people that it was going to cost $100 to see me give Kyle a big fat kiss on the cheek, so I think that might have had something to do with it. But
we gotta up the ante again. We gotta have something else that we do.
I don't think I have anything that can come anywhere close.
What would you do to me for $500, Paul?
Well, in Vegas that'll go a long way.
Woo!
We're not. Anyway. One last donation. I meant to. One last announcement. I meant to announce this on Kyle's half too, but I am starting a giveaway tomorrow for that computer. Right, that one.
Oh, nice. It's the main gear one, right?
This is the main
That's
gear.
Really nice.
R1 Razor Edition.
Yeah.
It's like if you were to part that computer out and buy it on the main gear website, it would be $5,000 plus. I'm not exactly sure the specific price, but it's got an AMD Ryzen 1800X processor, two-way GTX 1080s and SLI, a full custom water cooling loop with mostly EK stuff from the blocks and some bits power fittings,
super sexy,
some coolants, quick disconnects on there. It's like a really, really nicely parted out system. Samsung 960 Pro, 512 gig. So yeah, that's gonna kick off tomorrow. I'll post a video for that. It's probably gonna be in the afternoon sometime. Beautiful. So check that out. Anyway, moving on to news. Let's continue the news segment.
Tech news.
And let's start out with AMD Zen 2.
Zen 2?
Zen 2, yes indeed.
Holy crap.
Zen itself, the first run of AMD's Zen architecture, which has been used in Ryzen cores, which is in Ryzen's processors, Threadripper. It's been used in EPYC. AMD said that basically their expectations for the performance of Zen were kind of bare minimum as far as what it hit. Like, what they thought the architecture could do and what they actually put out was kind of a worst case scenario, and that's a weird way of phrasing it, but it was just kind of a worst case scenario in terms of what frequency they thought they were going to be able to hit.
Like expectation reality, right?
And the performance they were going to be able to get out of it. So there are clear areas for improvements, according to this article from Tech Power Up, that AMD's engineers are aware of and were aware of, even as they were taping out the first Zen-based CPUs. So there's features and improvements that were left on the chopping block, probably due to time and budget constraints, because eventually you got to cut things off and say, look, we need to bring this product to market, so stop designing it, let's start making it. These slides come from Spanish website Informatica Cero. Informatica Cero. These are supposed to be theoretically directly from AMD, but this is a rumor, so bear that in mind. Grain of salt, could be fake, could be made up nonsense. But they say, if this is real, then AMD's CPU roadmap says in 2019 we'll be seeing products based on Zen 2. In 2018, they have listed Pinnacle Ridge, which is still going to be using the same Summit Ridge architecture, so the existing Zen 1 architecture, but will be a performance uplift. So maybe we're going to see some new products based on Zen 1 in 2018, maybe with higher clock speeds or something like that.
Higher IPC,
you know, maybe perhaps? like an 1850X or something like that. I could see AMD coming out with that kind of thing. But yeah. 2019, codename Matisse. They're changing up their code names too, because you might also notice their desktop and notebook K APUs, which are going to be based on Raven Ridge starting next year, are going to be called Picasso. Also based on the Raven Ridge architecture. But also they're continuing the use of the AM4 socket. So that is one nice thing that AMD promised pretty early on, was that AM4 was going to be a viable mainstream socket that they were bringing products to the market for through 2020. So I could see Zen 2 being kind of the second generation of parts that still work with that socket. And then probably after 2020, Zen 2 would probably, you know, if they do a Zen 3 after that, would probably be when you'd see a new socket and something to replace it.
Kind of nice, though, that AMD's not forcing their users to upgrade the chipset or motherboard for their new family of processors.
That certainly is a critique that could be leveled against their competition right now.
Just saying.
In particular.
Just saying.
So yeah, Matisse Zen 2, there's also some rumors and also a slide here about it being 12 nanometer potentially. So they might be shrinking the process ever so slightly from 14 nanometer, which would be interesting. It'd be interesting to see what kind of, or how like, it doesn't seem like that much of a die shrink going from 14 to 12, or that much of a process shrink, I should say. But it would be interesting to see like if that simplifies the transition at all. But obviously, if they're still using the same core architecture, then it's not that much different. But yeah, there's no mention of increased threads, so you might notice that from here. This specifically talks about how many Zen threads are in it. With Zen 2 cores, they're not saying, and up to 24 threads now or anything like that. So no hint or indication from this that AMD is going to be increasing the core count on the mainstream. But honestly, with 8 and 16 right now, that's seems about where they should be.
Yeah.
You know, since they've got the high-end threader per platform covering people who need 12 or more, you know, that sounds reasonable. Mm-hmm. But there it is. Also, they're changing their code names from Ridges to painters. Summit Ridge and it seems a little bit more inspiring. Matisse and Picasso, very well respected in their fields. Anyway, let's move on. Next story is about Intel's 8th generation Core Coffee Lake desktop processors. Now, this was sort of an interesting development just a couple days ago, or I guess, yeah, roughly 48 hours ago. Intel had done a product demonstration, or they did a call with people. They had a webinar. They had a webinar. They had a deck of slides. They told people about. I participated in. Did you participate in that?
Yeah.
All these slides, and they're cropped in this.
I only did the phone though, so I didn't see any of the slides. I was just on the phone.
Oh, you didn't?
I only got audio.
You didn't watch the thing?
I was in the car when I.
I think Anantech might have cropped these or something, but all of these said October 5th embargo lift, blah blah. that was on there.
They probably changed it or something.
Yeah, so there's a bunch of information that was provided to reviewers about this launch coming up, and
that was all under embargo till
it was all under embargo till October 5th.
But
it was leaked someone somewhere, and this I haven't figured out who exactly it was or where it was published or anything like that. I'm sure somebody knows.
Could have been anyone,
but I don't. But it was leaked. It went out, so Intel was like, "All right, it's out there." It's like instead of being like, "We're going to pretend that doesn't exist for the next week and a half," they're like, "All right." They sent a supplemental email out to everyone and said, "All right, you guys can talk about this now." So this is why there's a bunch of articles up about this. I was working on the 7980XE video at the time, so I didn't even see this until the articles went up, which was kind of interesting. But anyway, here is the 8th generation core processors that they've talked about. There's i3s, i5s, and i7s. The i3s are now going to be quad cores. The i5s are now going to be 6 cores. And the i7s are going to be 6 cores with hyperthreadings. So that means there's no place anymore for quad cores with hyperthreading, which would be kind of an interesting thing to throw into this mix, but who knows?
I feel like the i5, like the flagship i5, should have hyperthreading, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Just again, it's totally unlike anything Intel's done in the past, but with Ryzen now.
But an i5 with hyperthreading then competes with your i7 without hyperthreading. So then how do you price those? So, I don't know.
Lower clock speed, maybe? Perhaps? Lower TDP?
Potentially, but...
I don't know.
Yeah.
But
this is how Intel has decided to do it.
Yeah.
And pricing is here as well. The 8700K, 359, the 8700, 303, 8600K, 257, 8400 is 182, 8350K, the quad-core, 168.
Seems pretty in line with Kaby Lake.
Yeah, it's in line with Kaby Lake. It's a bit more. So you'll notice like a $20 increase on the 8700K compared to the 7700K.
Right. You're getting more cores and threads though.
You are getting more cores. Yes. The price jump I noticed that stuck out the most to me was like, oh, you can get a quad core down here.
Yeah, for the
with
same
your
price
i3 8100 for $117. That seems pretty reasonable to me. It seems like, oh, wow, for $117, then I feel like I want to pay like $20 more and get the unlocked overclockable version. Nope, $168.
Yeah, it's a huge gap.
$168 if you want to overclock
Everything
that.
else
that
is incremental jumps.
That is a
price-wise.
$51 jump from
percentage-wise. That's huge.
Yeah, that's like a third of the cost right there. So that kind of sucks. So you're probably better off bang for the buck sticking with your 3.9 gigahertz i3 7100 down there.
Yeah.
So
that's going to be a bargain chip, I think.
Yeah, this is probably going to be the bang for the buck kind of performance comparison to
the new 4650
to the Ryzen 3 processors.
Or 4560. I was confused.
The 40 what?
The Pentium 4560. That's a dual core, right?
Oh, there's we're going to talk about that in a minute.
Like
there's
CPU,
dual cores potentially coming out on X299. It's really stupid.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, so
just yet.
There's your initial layout. This is what's coming out. October 5th is the date. Intel's stating 25% more frames per second and 45% better performance when megatasking with the 8700K. This is a term that Intel made up. What they're trying to talk about is doing multiple things at once.
Streaming while recording while gaming.
Streaming, recording, and gaming at the same time.
And encoding.
Which is a very viable use case and something that they've been kind of getting smacked around with when you compare them to the 6-core and 8-core Ryzen options that are very price competitive with like the 7700K.
It's still multitasking though. Just call it multitasking.
It's megatasking. Megatasking.
It just sounds so silly.
You have to say
silly.
Megatasking.
Yeah, right. Like it's a CSGO sound effect.
Kind of thing.
Godlike.
Godlike megatasking. Gaming Sports Edition. Okay.
Brought to you by Intel.
Excuse me. It's causing me to... so yeah, there are some price increases here if you compare them directly to the generation over generation last. The 7000 series and the 8000 series. However, you are getting more cores, so it's up to you whether you think that's a price increase or whether they're just like, hey, it's only $20 more for 2 more cores. Even the top-end i5, though, has jumped from $242 to $257. It's a 6% price increase. And bear in mind that the prices listed here are bulk prices. So that's if you buy 1,000 of these CPUs at the same time. So you probably see slightly higher prices at retail.
No.
Expectation potentially for the 8700K.
Close to
$359 for the bulk price, so probably 400-ish, maybe 380. Who knows? We'll see.
But you know what's interesting is that Intel, even after Ryzen came out, still is sort of the champion when it comes to purely gaming performance. But it always fell short when it came to the core and thread count. But now that we have 6 cores, 12 threads, and if we're still rocking the same or even greater IPC that we saw with Katy Lake, then maybe we have some fierce competition against Ryzen finally from Team Blue. But
it does seem like these are going to be much more reasonable, like, performance comparisons with Ryzen right now, because let's face it, Intel didn't do much with 7th generation stuff after Ryzen launched. They didn't really change pricing or anything like that, so it's kind of like, all right, you can make this gaming argument for it, but if you're looking at all-around performance, it's kind of getting smacked around by the Ryzen. So we'll see how this all plays out.
It also kind of makes you a little bit salty because since this launch comes just 8 months after Katy Lake, like, you kind of know that Intel had the ability to create and release a 6-core CPU pretty much at any time, probably like years ago, and they just kept holding out because there was really no competition from AMD's side. But now that Ryzen's here in 2017, they're feeling the heat a bit, and so now they're more, there's more pressure on them to release higher core count CPU stacks.
Yes. Actually, that was one of the I missed this little bit in my notes, but I wanted to point it out as I believe Ryan from Anantech, was this article by Ryan? Ryan did this article. Yes, Ryan from Anantech, Ryan and Brett from Anantech pointed out 2006 was when Intel first went quad-core with the Core 2 Extreme 6700. So in 2006, Intel was like, quad-cores, guys.
For 11 years. They've been milking that quad-core.
11 years. Okay, granted, they've had 6-core prior to now, but they've always kept it on the enthusiast platform that's at a significant higher price, so it's nice to see this coming out. All right, speaking of nice to see this coming out, we have, of course, leaked, potentially not correct information, but you guys look at it and judge for yourselves. An early review that was posted on videocards.com. This was actually from expreview.com, which is
X-Preview?
X-Preview? Is that what it is?
I saw a video somewhere. Someone said X-Preview.
Yeah, so that's a Chinese language site, so that's linked in this article. But yeah, there's a 7700K and 8700K side by side. As Kyle mentioned on his half of the show, they're physically the same when it comes to the socket. So you can slot one into the other socket, but they're not compatible with each other's motherboards. 7700K, you got to use 200 series motherboard or 100 series motherboard with. 8700K, you need a 300 series motherboard with, most likely a Z370 if you want to overclock it. Here are the actual performance numbers as theoretically posted by XPreview or EXP Review. What do you? Is it XPreview? Experience. I like EXP for experience.
Experience.
The experienced reviews.
Experience. Yeah, I guess it can go either way. Yeah.
All right. Anyway. They have numbers here, and the benchmarks are being run the 7700K, 8700K, and 7800X, which is a 6-core enthusiast platform processor. Everything running at 4.5 gigahertz, so they equalize the frequency across all of them. Further down, there's also benchmarks with the CPUs running at clock speeds. But basically, like, I kind of ran down these, and if you look at the 8700K column versus the 7800X column, they're very, very similar. You get some slight edges by the 8700K from time to time. So, like 3D Mark Firestrike, the score is a little bit better. Physics score, a little bit better. But I mean, it's like a few percentage points, right? And going down the line, kind of similar. Here you get some better gaming performance. Witcher 3, you get definitely a nice bump. So when it comes to the productivity and synthetics, you're seeing really similar numbers with the 8700K and the 7800X. When it comes to synthetics, the only real difference was in Sysoft Sandra, which actually showed better performance by the 7800X, so that might have been a memory issue, memory thing. You do have quad channel memory available on the 7800X, so that's potentially part of it, but there you go. According to these benchmarks, basically what you're getting is a CPU that's got the gaming chops of a 7700K, probably even a little bit more so since you've got all those cores, and the CPU compute performance, the productivity performance of like a 7800X.
It's pretty cool.
Which is pretty nice. So definitely seems like there's a lot of potential here. Of course, it's really going to boil down to what you can get out of that, what you can get out of Ryzen options at the same price, comparing the two. But
it'll be an interesting
benchmarks.
It'll make for some interesting reviews.
Yeah,
because this is unlike any other mainstream CPU family that Intel's launched in the past.
Indeed. All right. Speaking of Intel launching CPUs, they just launched the 7980XE.
They did.
Yesterday morning at 12:01 a.m. Pacific Standard Time.
18-core bastard.
We have the 18-core and Der Bauer, God bless him.
Der Bauer!
Why isn't this loading?
Der Bauer hour.
Der Bauer, God bless him, has been deliting Intel's processors for quite some time now because they're using not the best thermal interface material. In fact, they're using fairly inferior thermal interface material. On Kyle's half of the show, we talked about the Gamers Nexus article, which pointed out very specifically to Intel that, like, hey guys, if you invested a few more bucks on the manufacturing side of this, you can get significantly better performance. They were seeing 10 degrees plus Celsius drop off, which led to better turbo boost frequencies and whatnot with the 7800 XE, 7980 XE. I'm sorry. So Der Bauer basically delited his because he's got a kit for it now. Actually, I kind of want to hit him up about that. And he then overclocked it to 6.1 gigahertz. Yeah. That was on all cores. It was using LN2 for cooling. He used thermal paste on the entire CPU. Let me see if I can jump to the point in the video where it shows that. This is the interesting thing about, like, he gooped
the whole thing.
He gooped it everywhere.
Beyond the die itself.
Not just on the die, but also on the PCB surrounding it and everything, just to get the maximum amount of
heat transfer,
thermal transfer between everything that's under that die and what he's got going on above it. So that's pretty crazy. And yeah, there's another shot of it. So he actually went and cut out. That was my idea. I told him that. I'm gonna claim credit for this. All right. I'm taking credit for this. Literally, this is my idea.
To cut out?
No, I told him. All right.
To cut out the IHS?
I'm sure he could have easily thought of this himself, but so we had this discussion at Computex.
Full rant incoming.
I'm not ranting.
Oh, okay.
Because no, I'm like, if this really, I'll talk to him about it. I'll ask him. But if this really did originate with me, I'll be kind of proud of it. But he's talking about the difficulty of delitting these high core count processors from Intel because the dies are way bigger, and there's a lot less space, a lot less gap between where the heat spreader makes contact with the PCB and where there's important stuff on there like capacitors or the die itself. So he was saying, you know, he's got to get a device on there that clamps down, that has another device that gets just on the heat spreader that shifts it to the side in order to break the contact between the IHS and the PCB beneath it. And he's just saying it's really challenging because when you shift it like that, the chances that you're going to hit something and break it and kill your processor just become a lot higher. So I was like, thought at the time, I was like, what if you took something like a Dremel or, you know, like a cutting tool and just cut around where you know the die is on the heat spreader, then you could get something cut out there to where you could maybe lift just that and you wouldn't have to worry about the thing around it. And I'm just saying that looks like exactly what he did here. And again, it may or may not have been Paul inspired, but
but doesn't his delitting tool
just want to point that out,
like, fix all that?
No, his delitting tool does not do this.
No, I mean, like, to actually, like, because why would you cut it out just to technically delit
I believe
it, right?
this was his customization very specifically for maximum overclocking.
Okay.
Because he's trying to put himself in a situation where he can clamp a cooler down on there, but also put a massive amount of thermal paste on there.
Mm-hmm.
But honestly, I could totally be wrong about that. So,
I see.
Yeah, there we go.
Interesting.
Anyway, Der Bauer has a video about this.
But what he just did there, cutting out the middle part, is that essentially the same effect, the same end result as delitting? Because you're revealing the die?
Honestly, I feel bad that I have not watched the video in its entirety to get more info about that. This might also have been something that he did when he was trying to figure out how to properly delit it in the safest manner. So I'm not sure about that. I can't say for sure. But there you go.
Interesting.
Anyway, DeBauer deleted it. He then overclocked at 6.1 gigahertz. The power delivery, or the power requirements for the 7980XE and the 7960X go pretty crazy. At stock speeds, they're actually really efficient. That's what I found in my testing, because I only tested at stock. But that's Intel kind of finding the sweet spot, I feel like, for these processors. As soon as you start cranking things up, it starts to draw a ton of power and starts to put out a lot of heat, which is why, of course, the delidding processor is very important. With Cinebench R15 and the i9-7980XE, DeBauer overclocked it to 5.6 gigahertz and scored 5,635. Compare that to his 1950X maximum overclock, which got to 5.4 gigahertz and scored 4,514.
So people in chat are saying that he cut out the IHS so that he could cool the die directly with the LN2.
So he did do that specifically to actively cool it.
Yeah, but still have the IHS there to properly mount the.
I would guess it would,
because
I mean, old school delidding, you would mount a cooler directly to the die, but that's very dangerous because applying pressure right there, if it's uneven, can easily crack it or damage it. So I'm guessing that was to provide some stability around it for the
keep it
whatever cool heat
level.
or the pot for his LN2 pot to go on there. My guess, but anyway, the video's linked in the description, guys. So know more than us and watch it, or watch it and then you'll know more than us, I guess. Anyway, at 5.5 gigahertz, he was pulling 70 amps through the 12-volt rail, so the CPU by itself was drawing 840 watts, which is insane, and that's with a 1.45-volt V-core, which is high for this platform, but not insane or anything like that. At 5.8 and 6 gigahertz, he was drawing 1,000 watts just for the CPU, which is also pretty crazy. And then because he used DeBauer and he's a crazy overclocker, he added a Titan XP GPU, LN2 cooled the GPU as well, and set single card 3D Mark records: 45,705 in 3D Mark 11, 35,782 in 3D Mark Firestrike, and 120,425 in 3D Mark Vantage.
Holy crap!
So good work, DeBauer.
You the man.
Keep it up.
You the man now, dog.
Yeah. Moving on. All right, the 7360X, a dual-core CPU for X299, or so videocards.com would have you believe.
Why?
Why?
Why? It makes no sense.
Very clearly listed in this description, or the video's the article's title is why.
Make it make sense.
Why?
Make it make sense, Paul.
So, Intel has received nothing but flack and negative feedback for their decision to include the 74. What is
Kaby Lake X.
The Kaby Lake X processors. The quad. I banished the numbers from my mind. So, why in God's name would they decide to launch a dual core on this platform? This is a high-end platform. This is X299 motherboards. This is like, you got to spend $250 minimum for just a motherboard on this platform. And that motherboard will probably be equipped to handle quad channel memory, which you can't do with this. The Kaby Lake X CPUs only have dual channel, so you lose half of the bank of memory. You also lose access to a bunch of other stuff as far as connectivity on the motherboard because you're limited in PCI Express lanes.
Got 2 slots.
You only get 16, so expansion there is just severely truncated. So in an environment where you have a mainstream platform with motherboards that are much cheaper, that have way less features for installing a CPU like this, why would you further push your already hated Kaby Lake X lineup down to the i3-7360X?
Maybe there are certain applications that require
all
the I/O, like quad channel memory and M.2 storage, but don't really require a ton of CPU power. I mean, I can't think of any applications off the top of my head that need that, but that's the only reason I can think of why this chip exists. Can anyone in chat name something where you don't need much CPU power and you don't need many cores or threads, but you need a lot of I/O? I can't even.
Yeah.
I don't even.
So the 7360X would be a successor to the 7350K, Intel's mainstream dual-core overclockable unlocked CPU with hyperthreading, which Was an interesting chip when it launched, but was grossly overpriced at like $180 or $190, so never made any sense, and was a terrible seller as well, from my understanding. Why would they make another one? They've got an even worse platform. It's 100 megahertz faster, so it's 100 megahertz faster than the 7350K. Turbo's up to 4.3 gigahertz. The TDP jumps to 112 watts, so almost double the TDP. 7350K is a 60 watt TDP. This one would be 112 watts. And according to the original poster, which this information originally came from Baidu, also from China, he said the i3-7360X is 1.25% faster than the 7350K.
Wow. And
the price is around 1,699 yuan, which is $220 US.
What?
Which is like what?
What?
When you can buy a 6-core Ryzen CPU for less than 200. Anyway, this makes no sense. And the article doesn't say, but I would assume based on KB Lake X specs for the 7440X or whatever, and whatever the hell those CPUs are, that it has 16 PCIe lanes and dual channel DDR4.
That this CPU.
That's my assumption. That's my assumption. It's not listed in PCIe lanes. DDR4 isn't listed in the article. That's just if the CPU exists. If they're actually going to launch it, I can't imagine it having anything other than that. Maybe less than that, which would make it even crappier. But there you go.
That's bizarre, man.
Yeah, stupid product, Intel. I don't like it. PC World has an article from Brad Sharkus about AMD phasing out the Crossfire brand. So multi-GPU has been one of those things that's been, I don't know, getting more and more limited lately if the 3-way and 4-way configurations were your thing. NVIDIA has already stated that they're only going to be supporting dual-core for the future. And apart from some very specific benchmark applications that have support for just benchmark numbers only, 3 and 4-way support, like 3D Mark, you're not getting support for any games for any benefits tangibly when going beyond 2 GPUs in a system. So AMD is following suit, or at least we can so assume from this article. Now, the 17.9.2 drivers that recently launched are where this comes from. Excuse me. So 17.9.2 drivers enabled 2-way Crossfire with Vega GPUs that wasn't available prior to now. And PC World happened to notice there was no mention of Crossfire in that. So they hit up AMD directly and was like, hey, why aren't you guys saying Crossfire anymore? AMD PR said, Crossfire isn't mentioned because it technically refers to DirectX 11 applications. In DirectX 12, we reference multi-GPU as applications must support mGPU. mGPU is a shorthand for multi-GPU in DirectX 12, whereas AMD has to create profiles for DirectX 11. So DirectX 11 and prior, more reliance on profiles provided directly by AMD or by NVIDIA for those setups in order for the games to perform well. Basically, the onus is more on the developers with DirectX 12 to support multi-GPU, whereas the onus was more on the GPU manufacturers and specifically their software driver developer teams with DirectX 11 and the old way of doing multi-GPU. Anyway, they say this is a branding change, not a technical one, so it's not like they're suddenly abandoning multi-GPU support. It's just they're not calling it Crossfire anymore.
mGPU now?
It's mGPU, which is kind of just more the generic term for multi-GPU with DirectX 12.
But there's no AMD specific terminology for multi-GPU.
No, it doesn't appear. That doesn't appear to be the case.
So mGPU is an umbrella term that can be applied to AMD or NVIDIA multi-graphics cards, but as of now, Crossfire is done away with, and only NVIDIA has an exclusive term that represents multi-GPU.
Seems to be the case.
Okay.
Article specifically says like it's kind of weird because Crossfire it's a brand, it's a branded term. You say Crossfire,
yeah.
People who are familiar with the industry say Crossfire. Oh, that's more than one in AMD GPU in a multi-GPU configuration.
Right.
So it's kind of weird that they'd suddenly be like, all right, we don't need that anymore. Maybe they have their reasons internally or that kind of thing. But yeah. Also, it's not really mentioned in this story, but AMD, as I already mentioned, doesn't seem to be keen on supporting more than 2-way GPU configurations down the road. So we're probably going to see 3-way, 4-way gaming GPU setups kind of dry up and disappear because there's no practical reason to do it.
Right.
Which makes sense in a lot of ways. I mean, if you're looking at it from anything from like the super enthusiast perspective, it's like I need to wedge as much hardware into the computer as possible. Like the development isn't there, the uptake isn't there from users. Like the actual multi-GPU install base is so small, it just doesn't make practical sense for these companies to invest time to support it. So I'm okay with 2-way being the thing.
Yeah.
I don't mind Crossfire though. I don't think Crossfire should just suddenly go away.
No. As long as there's SLI, there should be
Crossfire.
Crossfire.
Here's my 2 Vega 64s in MGPU.
It doesn't have a nice ring to it.
Here's my Vega 64s in Crossfire.
Sounds awesome.
That sounds way better.
I'm way behind that.
Plus, there's that like 80s or maybe 90s game Crossfire.
Crossfire, you'll get caught up in the crossfire. All you 90s kids are with me.
Oh yeah. All right. Quick mention here, just to follow up on Equifax because it's kind of one of those big stories, vaguely tech related because it was a big hack situation. And it sucks for most people in the United States, but the CEO of Equifax is retiring because that's what you do when you're in charge of a company for a long time, and then suddenly it's like, hey, your company screwed over like more than 100 million U.S. citizens, and now you've lost their information and stuff like that. Richard Smith, the Equifax CEO, has stepped down from his post.
AKA got fired.
His retirement is effective today. The board of directors has already appointed Mark Fiedler who is a board member to serve as non-executive chairman. Paulino
Dorrego Barros.
Paulino Dorrego Barros Jr.,
who
was previously the president of Equifax Asia Pacific, is stepping in as interim CEO. All this is to say, Equifax sucks, and it's very frustrating to see when something like this happens and you have culpability with the company that's done a really crappy thing. Suddenly, like all the people who are in charge of it's like, hey, we're walking away. We're not part. It's like they just blew up a car with a bunch of puppies in it, and then they're just like, we're gonna walk the other way down the road here. No one's gonna notice a thing. That sucks. It's lame. Anyway, if you guys are concerned about the Equifax breach, we talked about it a bit on my half of the show last week. But basically, recommendations to you, bearing in mind that we're not.
This is basically what they're doing.
Yeah, it's Homer walking
backing into the bush.
Into the bushes.
Just disappear like, nope.
The classic meme.
Nope.
But yeah, brief recommendations for you. If you go to last week's episode on my half, there's a link in the description that has a bunch of very good recommendations there. Get your credit report right now. Go to annualcreditreport.com. That's the only website that's actually the website that the government has required the credit reporting companies to provide once a year a credit report to you free of charge. You won't get your score. So if anyone's like, what's your score? I need your score. You don't get your score. They don't give you that. But they do give you your full history. And you can get yours from Experian and the T1. Experian, I can't. Equifax, Experian. What's the third one? It's a brain fart right now. TransUnion, yes. Final State 2, thank you. TransUnion. Anyway, you can get Experian and TransUnion online. Equifax, surprise, surprise, is requiring you to mail them in stuff, but don't let that stop you. Do it anyway. Get your credit report right now so that any nonsense that happens in the next 6 months, year, 2 years, 5 years, since all of your information, security, social security number and whatnot is out in the wild now, you can be like, look, when I saw this happen, I got my credit report, and I've done nothing since then. Anything that's after that is your problem because you lost my information and you failed the citizens of America. Also, don't use LifeLock. Apparently, there's been like a 6 times uptake in people signing up for LifeLock because, like, I need to protect my information, my online security, and everything. Oh, really? That's awesome.
Sorry, Anna suggested we make one of us make this our profile picture.
Pretty good.
So I've updated my profile picture on Twitter.
Thank you, Kyle.
Everyone, go check it out.
That's perfect. LifeLock goes through Equifax, like it's part of Equifax. You're paying Equifax money if you use LifeLock. Anyway, annualcreditreport.com and freeze your credit. Those are our suggestions. Again, we're not.
Maybe I should have never got a credit card. This could have all been avoided.
No, you couldn't avoid it. If you do anything in the United States, you're in the system. It's pretty stupid.
That's true.
Anyway, let's move on to hot and heavy hardware. I'm gonna try to burn through this quickly because I'm hungry. All right, so hot and heavy hardware. Starting out with a bit of a kerfuffle. Jay's 2 cents. You guys might know him as
who?
Jay's 2 cents. Anyway, he did a video. He got the Vega 64, the Asus Strix edition of the Vega 64, which has been somewhat anticipated. I don't know. Vega launch has been pretty messy, generally speaking, but a lot of people have been like, when the third-party cards come, they will save us. That's what will happen.
Or will they?
So Jay got an Asus Strix Vega 64. He did a bunch of testing with it. Basically, he wasn't seeing the numbers that he was expecting. Talked with Asus directly. Did further testing. He ended up just posting his video because I've been in the same situation too. At a certain time, when you've invested enough time in checking out a product, you gotta be like, here was my experience with it. So he posted that. And basically, his aftermarket, custom designed, specially Asus cooled graphics card performed
less.
It had less performance than the default air-cooled Vega 64, the one he's holding in his hand right here, the reference model, basically.
Yeah.
So that was kind of surprising.
There's something with the VBIOS, according to Asus. I got an email from Asus because I was supposed to get one of these cards too. Asus said there's an issue with the VBIOS, and they're going to have to rework it out. But basically, it's affecting the power limitation of the card, and that's what's causing it to not ramp up to the same clock speeds that we're seeing with the reference design.
Yes.
So they actually asked that we hold off on our reviews for now until they get it sorted out. They should have it done, sorted out within a day or two. But that's what Jay was experiencing firsthand in his video.
So Asus has said they're going to fix this, and anyone who maybe had gotten an initial impression from Jay's video, maybe a follow-up might be worth taking a look at.
Definitely.
Guru 3D has also posted a review on it. They experienced, I don't want to say exactly the same situation as Jay, but a similar situation. The card did not outperform the reference model of the Vega 64 by any significant margin to where you could say, yes, it's worth paying more for this card, or yes,
right,
it's visibly evident what has gone on here in order to say, yes, I should buy your card rather than buying that card.
Right.
Regardless, it's not going to matter at all if all of these are selling for $200 more than MSRP or whatever, but it's at least worth keeping an eye on because hopefully eventually the prices will even out.
Yeah.
Although today on Newegg it didn't.
Did not.
Today on Newegg, the Vega 56s were all $500, and the Vega 64s were all $600 to $700. So,
lovely.
Yeah, and that's what AMD's tweeting about. Like, hey, look, our cards are on sale. Our cards are in stock.
Our cards are on sale for $100 more than what we told you they'd be.
Yeah. All right, RGB. Everyone loves RGB, right?
I do.
Everyone's favorite addition to a computer. G-Skill, who came out with the Trident ZRGB kit, which is one of the most, I think it was one of the earliest kind of widely implemented RGB kits RAM, as far as the software goes from the different motherboard manufacturers.
True.
And they are now expanding it with a Ryzen version.
See, I didn't realize that there was the one that we've had all this time was the Intel version.
I didn't either. I mean, I have their 3200 cast latency 14 kit, and that's worked with Ryzen perfectly fine for me.
But you know what's interesting is that I recently tested, or I examined the Threadripper build that Austin and I did on that stupid yacht, and was wondering why I was getting all these postcode errors. And I started looking up online in different forums and noticing that other people were having the exact same postcode errors, like 4 or 5 accounts, and they all had one thing in common. They were all using G-Skill Trident Z RGB memory. Like 4 or 5 accounts. And I was like, okay. Austin and I didn't actually fuck up the computer. There's some incompatibility, which hence is totally validated now that we have a Ryzen kit of this shit.
Yeah, I was about to say, what's the point when the kits have been performing just fine? This is the kit that's most frequently sent out to reviewers. It's more expensive because it's tighter timings. They do have a 3200 speed cast latency 16 or 17 kit as well. That's a little bit cheaper. But this is what I've been using. This is the timings I've been using for pretty much all of my Intel and Ryzen and Threadripper testing recently. It's worked fine for me, but if there is incompatibility depending on your processor, then that's something that's worth considering. The model numbers are basically the same. They're just adding an X to the end for the AMD versions. They look the same, basically. It seems like they have the same timings and everything, and roughly the same number of kits available, although there's some that are specifically for Ryzen. So you're not going to be able to see all the same memory capacity configurations in there.
Oh, they don't have a 128 gig kit for Ryzen yet.
Oh yeah, that's still missing.
Unfortunate.
Still missing.
8 by 16.
Jeez. But yeah, so there you go. If you're looking to build a Ryzen system or a Threadripper system, and you're specifically like, I want to get that RGB DDR4 goodness, then maybe that's something to take a gander at from G.Skill. Meantime, Corsair is also kind of expanding their RGB memory lineup with a all-white kit of Vengeance RGB.
Ooh.
This is a single picture that I have here. Kyle,
it's pretty sexy.
Why don't you tell the people at home a little bit more?
Yeah. So this is basically the same thing as Corsair's existing Vengeance LED RAM, except the modules are now white. The heat sinks are now white. Same excellent RGB implementation. Same brightness and customizability with the software, but the heat spreaders are now white. That's all I know, because I didn't read this article because it's not my story.
No, but you did perfect. You did perfect.
That's what I'm seeing here. They're now white.
I just needed you to
to stall a bit.
Stall.
Do a little song and dance.
All right, so this video doesn't have the white one.
This would look really good in like a white build, like a
but
white
their splash
PC.
page has been updated. All right, so here's a good version of it. So there you go, the white with the RGB.
This is good because previously the only like white kit of RAM that I would ever opt for a white build would be Corsair's Vengeance LPX series. But now we've got the RGB, so that's cool. And
it stands out pretty well, you know. And
it looks
it's a nice contrast with
the
the coloring, so I'm sure this is going to be popular. So there you go. Corsair expanding their lineup a little bit.
The white, cool. The white parts tend to absorb and reflect the light, the RGB lighting, a little bit better than the black. The black kind of absorbs it all, and the white reflects it. So that's why white RGB PCs typically look a bit more colorful than the black ones.
Yep. All right. I had one other story here, and I don't have notes on this, but we've talked a little bit about the Atari box in past episodes. The Atari box is apparently going to be a little bit fancier than was initially expected. It's actually going to have an AMD CPU and a Linux operating system. So it is going to have current generation, to some degree, PC hardware in there. The projected price is about $250 to $300. So you're not going to expect this to have, an 8-core Ryzen CPU with the Vega 56 or anything like that. But something comparable. I would guess something in the APU range. Maybe not even Zen. Maybe something based on their previous generation architecture. But still expensive enough that you might be able to do a little bit more with it than just play ported old Atari games. But might be something to keep an eye on.
Yeah.
Just in the space if you're into retro stuff. Especially if you were like one of those people who really like the mini NES or the mini Super Nintendo. Might be an interesting product, but also something that you could use a little bit more expansively than just to play a few nostalgic games.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
All right, we're going to do Sword Fight next, but I'd like to do this really, really quickly.
Yeah.
Just because I'm hungry.
Me too.
Sword Fight, Kyle and I argue about something. On Kyle's half of the show, we already discussed the PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds creators being unhappy with Fortnite Battle Royale, which is a game that's already exists, that's developed by Fortnite. PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, their developers are Bluehole, but they all use Unreal Engine 4, so the same underlying game engine. Fortnite Battle Royale is basically the Fortnite game with a Battle Royale version that is extremely similar to the gameplay in PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, which is massive battlegrounds that a bunch of people start out in, presumably parachute down into, at least according to this video, and then it's just a death match to see who the last man standing is, which has proven to be an incredibly addictive version of gameplay for PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. But PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, they're considering further action, potentially getting a little
similarities.
litigious.
Litigious.
Potentially filing a lawsuit against them to say, like, hey, you're stealing our stuff.
Litigious.
So the question we're going to answer, at least try to get a little bit more down to really quickly here, is should game developers be able to do this? If there is a game developer who makes a game and they see another game developer make a game that's very similar to their game, should they be able to sue them or take legal action against them? Granted, it's down to the courts to actually decide that, but we can argue this and decide right now just whether or not it should be a thing. Because maybe there's lawyers watching and they'll be like, you're right, and then they'll go and make that happen. That's our assumption of what happens every time. So what do you think, Kyle? Yes or no? Quick 60-second argument for one side or the other.
I'm going to say yes. I'm going to play devil's advocate. Yes, it's their right to protect their IP, and copycats are lame. How would you feel, Paul, if I started a new segment called Garage Work Logs that are the best on YouTube?
Be flattered.
Garage Work Logs that are best on YouTube by Bitwit. Wouldn't you feel a little bit ousted? You'd feel a little bit like a little saltiness, I feel like, would get poured onto that wound. And then additionally, you know, I start doing a segment called Probing Kyle. You know, it's not exactly the same as Probing Paul, but, you know, all the same basic fundamental elements are there, created off of something that you initially made on your own channel. You felt it was a protected, safe, and unique and, you know, elemental part of your channel that sets you apart from the competition. And all of a sudden I come in, swoop in, and steal your thunder, basically. I don't think that would be very well received on your end, and I feel like you would have some legal grounds in court to sue the shit out of me. I personally think originality is key, and if a company feels like their creativity is being encroached upon by some copycat, they have a right to at least take them to court to hash it out. To hash it out and figure out whether or not it is infringing on their rights or not. You know, I'm not saying that, you know, PUBG or Bluehole is in the right here. I'm saying that they have a right to take the Fortnite people, Epic Games, to court and just hash it out and see if they really are dicking them over. And you gotta love that promo too. Did you watch the promo, trailer promo? Fucking guys in Fortnite, they were like, we're a huge fan of the battle royale genre, like games like H1Z1 and PUBG. They listed PUBG in their promo as if to say, like, hey, Bluehole, we gave you guys a shout out in our promo trailer. So you can't really come at us to, you know, saying that we copied you guys, because we're homies, right? I mean, we're giving you all this, you know, all this publicity, all this visibility in our promo video. We're cool, right? Yeah, fuck off, Fortnite, you're a bunch of dicks. Okay, we'll keep it short. I have nothing else.
Okay. So as Chat's already pointed out pretty extensively here, H1Z1 called and they'd like their game concept back. But even beyond that, the basic game concept of PUBG is not one that's all that crazy or out there or hasn't been done before. There's plenty of games that have had that style of gameplay in the past. And the fact that they're taking another game that's so similar and potentially going and saying we're going to sue you seems a little disingenuous when a lot of their original ideas for their games were already derived from other games that already existed. And we've seen this happen time and time again in the past. Like League of Legends and those types of games were all derived from a mod for, I believe it was a Warcraft mod. I could be wrong about that. I'm probably wrong about that. Anyway, point is, everything's derivative, so you're not going to be able to take any idea and say this is unique and completely different and completely original. Everything's sort of derived from other stuff. And you take it, and you make it slightly different or slightly better or just slightly different or just slightly something that Warcraft 3. Yes, thank you, chat. Thank you very much. I was right. I said
Dota.
I said Warcraft. I was close enough.
Dota.
Yes. Defense of the Ancients.
Day of the Ancients or Defense of the Ancients?
Defense of the Ancients. Yeah. So we've seen this happen plenty of times before. It's going to keep happening in the future. It doesn't even happen just in games. Like, look at stuff like hardware. Like, look at innovations that like AMD has come out with, like dual channel memory and bringing the not dual channel memory, bringing the memory controller onto the CPU die, or PCI Express controller, or going 64-bit or something like that. It happens. Other companies pick it up because it's a good idea, and then they keep doing that because it doesn't matter that you were first or that you can say that's mine and I want it and you can't have it. It matters what works best for people, or that's how it should work. And so
it's like my bottle GIF.
Yeah.
I shouldn't try to hoard it to myself. I should share it.
Exactly.
The world.
See? I've convinced you. I win.
Wait, shit! No, fuck! No, you're wrong.
Now
I hate you.
Now you have to wear lipstick.
Everything Paul said is rubbish.
All right.
Shit.
Let's see what the results are. People say no.
Ah.
They agree with me. I win. 64%.
Damn you.
It's epic. It's unprecedented.
Arr.
All right.
I really want to play PUBG now.
Yeah, I kind of do too. I just want to play any video game. I want to have
game ever.
I want to have a time where I'm like, I can play a video game right now.
I played CS:GO for like the last 2 nights.
Oh yeah.
It's been awesome.
Oh,
it's so fun.
That's fun. Well,
just had to rub it in a little bit.
I'm packing up the game system I would be gaming on and I'm gonna give it away to someone. So I need a new system to put there. That'll come very soon. All right. What's now? What happens now?
Donations?
We do have some donations. Thank you to all of you guys who have donated. And again, I'm going to take all your donation money and I'm going to match it and I'm going to donate that all to Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico!
And our thoughts and
I said that Italian.
And prayers and hopefully some money too goes out to the citizens there who are dealing with a very difficult time.
So leftover from Kyle's half, from my half, 9 to 5 hardware, $5. Hey guys, should I upgrade from my 5930K? And if so, what should I upgrade to? Keep up the good work. 5930K is pretty solid.
Yeah, you're fine.
Yeah, you're good.
Stick with that.
Yep. Are you gonna do any mail time while I'm doing this? Or?
I think maybe I'll save mine for next week, just because.
Sure.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Paul's donations. All right, Joseph Tischer for the $20, just evening out the donation from last round and helping Puerto Rico. It's also it's always more fun when you get to help peeps and do what you love. That's
Thank you, Joseph.
True. Thank you very much, sir.
Much appreciated.
Michael Drum, $5. The Turk and JD of YouTube. Hashtag Guy Love. Hashtag Scrubs. Don't ever say that again. Never happened. Never happened.
Never happened.
Omar Tyndale. I think Omar is the guy who sent us the lollipops.
Oh, yeah, thanks, Omar.
Omar, $10. Just put the lollipop all the way in your mouth and let it sit for a few seconds.
Yeah.
Oh my God. No. No. I want to leave this place alive without fire in my mouth. It's so brutal.
Such bad advice.
Yeah. It's so brutal.
Yeah.
Heather Hansen, $5. Paul, since you didn't reapply your lipstick, you must apply some to Kyle's lips or he does not get dinner tonight. Love, wifey sauce. I'll gladly eat dinner with Paul instead.
We're going to get sushi.
Yeah, he's getting sushi, whether I'm coming or not. So I mean, hey, if he doesn't put lipstick on me, I'll just eat with him. You decide. Ball is in your court, woman. And
Kyle's balls.
I'm probably gonna come home, so I hope. Please save me a burrito or whatever you're making. I would love.
Hopefully it's delicious.
I want dinner.
My God.
MB67.
MB67.
$50
Thank
for
you.
a good cause and a great show. Keep up
thanks,
the good
man.
work. Thanks, MB.
Much,
you the real
much
MVP.
obliged.
VA3MHB. California, Canadian. $5. 5 Canadian. No comments.
5 California.
5 California Canadians. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank
Takeshi7, $5. When was the first or the last time either of you used a NetBurst PC? I'm watching on a new Pentium EE965 build, and amazingly, it can handle 1080p, 60
That's
FPS
impressive.
Twitch.
That is
I've
impressive.
never used a NetBurst PC. I don't think ever.
Yeah, time wise, I'd have to go back and look at a calendar because I don't think that's info I could pull
Some
out of
old school stuff.
But yeah,
What year
that's
is
impressive.
that? Like 2000? No.
An Extreme Edition 965. That's not too old. I want to say 2006, but I could be wrong.
Okay, so about a decade, 10 years or so.
Uh,
NetBurst was NetBurst the manufacturer, or
Net burst refers to the architecture, I believe.
Oh, wow. Okay, yeah, that's way before my time. I feel so young and dumb.
It's like, this is the type of discussion where I'm like, I need to reference Wikipedia to make sure that the information I have in my head is correct, because it goes away so quickly.
Quick,
anyway, Scott,
call
Scott Dilbeck.
$6.66. Paul will make balloon animals on our next episode for donations.
Animals.
Kyle, breathe if you agree to put me on Pit My PC next week. I'm continuing to breathe.
You're continuing to breathe.
I guess I'm agreeing to it, and Paul's gonna do balloon animals. Yeah, well, that'd be fun. I'll get some balloon animal, or I'll get some balloons for you to blow up. Do you still remember? You remember all that shit?
Yeah, I know how to do it. You don't forget that.
Really? That's something that I feel like I would forget, like in a day.
It's muscle memory.
Muscle memory.
Yeah.
I guess it would be.
It comes back to you.
That'll be fun. El Jefe Reviews, $10. Thank you very much, sir. Buenos noches, nachos. Buenos nachos.
Oh, nachos.
Ooh, nachos. Missed side A due to work, so here's $10 for the both of you. Glad to see Arctic Panther making progress, and great to see Wifey Sauce getting more involved in videos.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. She can't escape her.
She's taken to the camera like a duck to water.
Ducks need lots of water.
Yeah.
VA3MHB, once again, 10 Canadians. Hey, Paul and Kyle, just wanted to say thanks for inspiring me to try my first build. I sent 2 other super chats trying to figure out how it works. LOL, beers on me. Thanks, man. Hope your first build went smoothly. And hopefully it boots. Congratulations.
I'm sure it will.
Bardicus for the 110 Canadian.
Bardicus.
Charity donation, dudes, for a good cause. I added $10 since the Canuckistan peso sucks harder than Tardy Lips. Yes, indeed. I request no awful things to be done by either of you, since we've seen enough to have nightmares.
That is very good of you. Very good of you. Both the viewers of this stream as well as the people of Puerto Rico.
You're a good man. NM Hammer 2, $5. Hey guys, love the content. I need a GPU for a Ryzen 1600 and 500-watt PSU with a Cooler Master Liquid 120. I have 3 180 monitors, 2 to 23. And 223 and 127 inches.
I'm guessing he means 3 1080 monitors.
3 1080 monitors. Yes. I was like, what's a 180 monitor?
For your needs, I'm still going GTX 1070 right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anything else is pretty overpriced.
Yeah.
I haven't looked at 1060 prices recently. Have those come down?
I haven't looked either.
I'd have to look, but yeah, I'd say a 1070 would probably match up pretty well with that.
Yeah. Sebastian Casella.
Sebastian.
80 Argentinian. Nice show. Have you ever used or heard about the swappable/upgrade path of the Electronics laptop brand? They use desktop CPU with the same socket. My only experience with Electronics is I bought one of their SATA-based SSDs, M.2 SSDs, for the $400 gaming PC I did recently on the channel.
Oh.
That's the only time I've ever heard of them or used a product of theirs. Paul?
I have not heard of them.
Okay.
I've heard of laptop manufacturers that use desktop parts and make some swappable and stuff like that.
Right.
I've found that interesting, but not so practical. I don't know. I'd have to take a closer look to actually render an opinion. But
basically, we don't know. Check the reviews if there are any,
yeah.
To see what other people think. Giovanni Licamelli for the $10. Hey guys, I need some help with my new setup. I have a GTX. I have GTX 970 for the wins in SLI with a 1600X Ryzen. I'm having consistent FPS drops under 25 FPS at 1080p on high, even in GTA. Latest drivers, fresh Windows, SLI enabled. Help. Under 25 FPS seems suspiciously low.
So you're saying even in GTA?
Yeah. What other?
Does that mean other games as well? Because like, what I would be doing is testing multiple games because you're gonna have varied SLI performance depending on what game you're playing. Beyond that, I would maybe take a look at memory if it's something like that. Maybe look at a power supply. You might be having.
We need a full list of your specs really to figure out what's going on.
Yeah, if you've got a really cheap power supply, maybe something like that. It's suddenly dropping the amperage or something like that, and you're not getting enough power delivered. Not enough to like turn the system off, but enough to drop performance.
Yeah.
So based on what you said, those would be the first 2 things I'd look at. But
yeah,
I hope that helps.
Make sure that your UEFI is updated to the latest version as well. Ryzen and stuff.
Oh, yeah, make sure you're in high performance mode, or that you have the Ryzen balanced mode for your
within
for your Windows Power Plan.
Yeah. But good luck. Hopefully that works out for you. Leon Korsav, $10. Paul, I want more man-on-man action, like in Kyle's Twitter pic.
Well, you'll have to watch next week's episode of Awesome Hardware.
Hey, it took $100 for him to kiss me.
I know.
You have to fess up. You have to scratch.
It wasn't even like $100. My thought was $200 because it was $100 the donation and $100 that you would have to pay too.
Oh yeah, right.
That was my thought process. I don't just do that for $100. It's gotta be more than that.
You're a cheap date.
I know.
Leo El Primo, $5. I heard Experian was getting hacked too. Lighter note, Kyle, what happened to the BitPhoenix Enzo? You saw it at the last Computex. Great content, thanks. Enzo, I will be getting a sneak peek, early access look at that case.
Oh, cool.
It'll actually be... No, I probably won't. I was gonna say it'll be on Ultra a week because I did a thing. I agreed. We made an agreement with BitPhoenix that I'd be able to post the Enzo review a week early on Ultra, my paid subscription channel. But I just found out today from someone who tweeted me that YouTube is completely doing away with paid channels, and and so Bitwit Ultra is going to die in like a month.
That sucks.
Literally November 1st, Bitwit Ultra is dead. So I have to figure out what the hell to supplement that with. But I will still be reviewing the Enso probably on its launch date, which I don't know if I can reveal right now, so I'm not going to. But it's coming.
Well, that's good to know.
DV Chow, DV Chow,
DV Chow.
I'm in the night crash Reksha for the calculus right now. He's in the night crash Reksha for the calculus.
DV Chow does
right now,
calculus.
And I'm at the point where absorbing in the info is like taking it up the butt or the asshole for me. Trying to force anything in is going to hurt. Damn, Phoebe. Sounds like you're going through some really painful shit right now. That sounds
painful.
I would raise your hand and request that your professor shut the F up until further notice, because that sounds like nothing that any human should endure. I hope you make it through your calculus class. I appreciate the fact that you are in a calculus class right now and still managing to watch our show.
That's impressive.
That means a lot to us. So, and thank you for the donation.
I guess your calculus class must have good Wi-Fi or something.
Yeah. And be grateful for the little things. Wi-Fi, having good Wi-Fi while your butt is hurting is a bittersweet silver lining.
Best of both worlds, eh?
And we got Vitor for the 5 or Australian, maybe?
Yes.
Good day, guys. Thank you for the many hours of binge watching. Try an Aussie beer sometime. Carlton Dry. Hooroo.
I was at Bevmo today, and they do. There is an Australian section.
Really?
So,
I don't know much about Australian beer other than...
It's just like Foster's.
Yeah, I've had a Foster's. I know Foster's.
Foster's is in there.
That's all I got. That's probably like their shittiest
That's the one that's been marketed in the U.S. as an Australian beer.
It's
so
like their Budweiser.
Carlton Dry, though. I'll keep an eye out for it.
Yeah. Next and last Leon Korsav.
My God, Leon.
Once again, $200.
Okay, $200
is, I want that man-on-man action. Okay, really?
We just have to have butt sex right now? What
is our price?
What is that?
What does this mean?
$200 and I want man-on-man action. I don't know what that means.
We never promised. We never said that $200 would get you man-on-man action. Where is this coming from? I mean, what am I supposed to do? Just like...
We could hug. I don't know. I don't want to disappoint him.
I know, but
we're not gonna make out or anything like that.
What if we lick the Satan's toe at the same time?
I'm not even wearing No, don't bring that back up. Didn't say anything about Satan's toe. I'm not touching that shit. Kill you. Punch you in the face.
Oh my God. All right. How about this? We'll plan something with baby oil at some point. All right. I don't know what it's gonna be yet.
Sorry,
but baby oil will be involved. Okay, how about that?
You're making that more specific.
Because it's unfair for you to throw this impromptu man-on-man action request on us when we haven't really even mentally prepared for it. So why don't we give you? Consider this an IOU from us to you. Because I got nothing.
Me neither.
Anything I can possibly think of right now that suffices for man-on-man action also does not probably fall within Twitch's terms of service. So we're gonna leave it at that. All right. No. No, we're not gonna kiss. Shut up. Shut up, all of you. Stop it. I'll ban everyone. Sell, ban them all.
I feel like you were forced to do something on your half, so I don't want to...
I know. You're just perpetuating the effect.
All right.
But...
Leon, thank you very, very much for your donation.
Your donation is going to help a lot of
I will be
people.
matching that and donating to Puerto Rico.
As will I.
So if
if
we didn't already hit $500, I'm pretty sure that put us over the top. So thank you so much.
Man-on-man donations.
And I really...
There you go.
My goodness. All right.
Oh,
I got
boy.
a couple quick Johnson shout-outs. Preston from Ohio. Thank you so much for grabbing the 11-ounce mug. Oh, he got a multi-pack of mugs. You got lots of mugs, Preston.
Woo!
You got a nice kit coming your way.
Wait, who was that? Preston?
Preston.
Okay.
Yes.
Also,
Martin
Double Johnson.
Or James from Australia.
Hey!
Oh my goodness. The pub glass as well as the mug. Thank you so much.
Picked up a glass and a mug as well. He's into glasses and mugs, apparently.
Excellent.
Thank you very much, sir.
One last donation I'm seeing pop up right here from Vitor Zan Vasraya, who already donated as well. Foster's is not an Aussie beer. No one drink Foster's.
Really?
Never touch VB. Stands for Vaginal Backwash. Carlton or Great Northern.
Okay.
Just to be clear, I wasn't recommending Foster's.
Whoa! No, yeah, we're just
I'm
saying that's the only one we know
That's the
of.
one that there's been commercials of. So we're like, oh, Foster's Australian for beer, whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're not like, we wouldn't expect someone in Europe or Australia to be like
Budweiser.
Budweiser, that's American beer. All beer in America tastes like
Classic
Budweiser.
American.
We wouldn't assume that at all. So yeah, but we'll give it a shot. I'll take a closer look at the Australian section, I think, sometime soon.
Yep.
But guys, that is all for our show for today. Thank you so much for watching. We really hope you've enjoyed it. If you did, of course, hit the thumbs up button. We'll be back next Tuesday, streaming from Kyle's place next time.
Woo!
So yeah, join us then if you so desire. Thanks to all of you guys who were able to watch us live today. If you're watching in the future, thanks as well. If someone wants to make timestamps, we really, really appreciate that every time.
Indeed.
Cell Processing, our moderator, thanks for being here as always, man.
Oh yeah.
Was anyone else here? Was Spider here? I wasn't sure.
I didn't see Spider.
All right, we love Spider too.
Spider's good too.
All right, thanks again for watching, guys.
We're gonna host.
We're out. Oh yeah, we're hosting.
Outlander.
Yeah.
Outlander _. It's OO Lander, LANDER underscore.
OOT.
Oh, I'm sorry. Outlander.
Outlander.
OOT.
Twitch.tv.
OOT/OOT. Lander. Underscore. We're gonna host him on our channel as well.
Go there, tell him we sent you.
Right now.
Twitch raid.
Raid him. He
Bye,
has 11 viewers right now. Let's make it 500 and blow his
It's gonna go crazy.
mind.
It's gonna be awesome.
Blow it.
All right.
Here we go. Bye guys.